A game about an East Asian phenomena? Ooh, how unique. Special thanks to Kokoro for recognizing the Roblox Studio icons, Tortoise for translating the hiragana, and Utakiwa for proofreading this video. I really couldn't have made it the way I liked it without these guys. Warm Isolation, a Roblox game made by Steven Scripps, starts you off inside a small retro bedroom. As the name suggests, Warm Isolation is a game about being isolated in a cozy room with your buddies or yourself. The game revolves around you waiting for money to build up from an increasing salary and buy stuff with it for you and your server mates. Mostly items for you to entertain yourselves with, unless you're like me and play it alone. Wait a minute, is that Miho? If you're asking where the gameplay is, there is next to nothing concerning a clear, achievable goal. You'll find that browsing the internet, fiddling with items, and exploring the room are the only things you can do in this game. It's more so a place to relax with your friends or serve as a screensaver instead of an actual game. Looking around, the bedroom's outfitted with a bed, shocker, a nightstand, a desk with a computer, several lights all connected to one outlet for some reason, an upper deck with beanbag chairs, and a window which shows a tree, the endless plate, and a static sun. Listening to the game's music, you'll quickly learn that there's only one song being played, emanating from the MP3 player found on the nightstand. A song called Luck by LEBWEE. I have nothing to say about the song right now, I just wanted to say what it is. It's only an MP3 player. You can lower or increase the volume as any MP3 player would. Fun fact, LEBWEE is the same person who composed most of the soundtrack for Asylum and a couple of other Roblox games. They're called Aden Mayo. Going into the bathroom, there's a functioning bathtub with a shower head, a toilet, a sink with a non-functional mirror, and a cracked wall. And now to the main reason you're still playing, the stuff on the market. You have the option to purchase several items on the computer, ranging from cola, a fish, a laser pointer, a key with garbled letters, and other kinds of gimmicky things. Some of the items have interesting interactions with each other, or can be used to... Okay. I'll talk about that locked door now. Facing the nightstand is a locked door leading outside this lonely room. Save enough money for the key and you can open the door. Only to find that there's an excessively long hallway waiting for you. You'll need a source of light to continue. Otherwise, you'll be led back to the door. That's where the vintage lighter comes in. Once you get enough money to buy it, you'd be able to go down without being sent back. But there's another problem. The lighter only has enough fuel to last 2 minutes, but the hallway's distance surpasses that. You'll need 2 lighters to reach the other side. If you have friends accompanying you, they can bridge the gap in fuel. Otherwise, you'll have to buy another lighter. Once you make it down the hallway, you'll be greeted by a door. Opening it leads you to an empty kitchen and living room. All of the doors are locked, and all of the lights are off, making it seem dead and barren. In place of glass, the windows are white lights that completely obscure whatever view is meant outside. A book is laid down on the table in front of the door you came from, and reading it reveals that you've been inside for a long while, and your friend worried about you. I had a feeling that you might have some stuff weighing on your mind, but I also know you probably don't want to talk about all of it with me right now. So I bought a journal for you instead. Write down what you've been worried about, or the things you've always wanted to say, or just how your week has been. I don't know. It's up to you. Write whatever. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. You're able to leave a note, but other than that, that's all you can do. Without a way to get outside, you go back down the corridor and return to your room. And that's the closest you can get to beating the game. There are still plenty of things to buy from the store and some secrets, but other than that, it ends there for a basic rundown. Yet, there's so much more to be said and many mysteries to unravel. What story, message, theme is this game trying to tell? Well, we should first retrace our steps and move slowly this time. Starting from the beginning. Warm Isolation is essentially a clicker without the clicking. It is a tycoon without satisfactory expansion. Warm Isolation is the least engaging game you could ever think of. Playing through it, you'll very quickly grow tired of the constant cycle of waiting and buying as each and every item only serves some menial purpose. Money buildup can feel like hours, and it's a given that you'd be off-screen doing something else, rather than stay engaged. If you play it without distracting yourself, you'll learn how suffocatingly boring it is, enough so that it almost seems torturous, as if the soothing filter was meant to mock you, and you're stuck here in perpetuity. It's no surprise then that much of the game's content reflects your feeling of boredom and aimlessness. A couple you saw on screen indicated this feeling of ennui, but there are several more that displayed as better than the last ones. There's one in the closet where the character lays on top of a pole, legs pointed to the ceiling, and arms over the abdomen. From the upper deck, you can hang from the ledge to amuse yourself. On the bed, there are two positions available, one where you're sitting and staring off into space, and the other where you're lying on the bed, eyes gazed towards the ceiling, all to ponder yourself. Exploring the bathroom, you can fiddle with the faucet, wash your hands, take a bath, or think on the toilet. Not much to do here. When you look at the items available to buy from the store, you'll soon discover that many of them are novelties meant to provide some temporary joy. A stress ball, a laser pointer, Bloxy Cola, a pager for some reason, a camera, etc. They're all items used for hobbies and pastimes to ease the character's boredom. Even a cleaning robot is purposed like a toy. These aren't features you'd find in a normal life sim or cozy game. Never do you see an expansion to the room you're in, any major furniture, landmark achievements, or even daily life activities to do. Instead, it's all things you'd find a child to come across during their life. I mean, trading cards in the nightstand's drawers couldn't make you think otherwise. As soon as you finish fidgeting with your items, the door catches your attention, but once you click on it, so the next best thing, the phone situated nearby the door, is your focus. Maybe some way for you to get some human contact. But the only numbers you know are that of a pizzeria and 911. No number of a friend or relative. Try calling 911 and you're met with a disturbing cacophony of distorted sirens. Looks like no one's around to help. Call the pizza place and the only thing they'll take is your order to whatever.
That'll be all.
So you can't contact anyone and you're stuck here. You're cut off from everyone else and trapped within the warm prison that looks like a childhood bedroom, given silly objects to pass the time and are your only inmate. Why solitary confinement? What's up with this? Why is your character imprisoned in a comfy room resembling their nostalgic dreams? It's because they kept themselves in a false world. They're shut in, mentally and physically. A hikikomori. Don't believe me? The game says otherwise. All of this is a psychological manifestation of what they want to see. It's assumed their perception of the outside has taken on a guise of chilling hostility and rejection, with nothing meaningful offered to our protagonist. It's better to stay here than go out there. And if you're staying here, you may as well make your room as comfortable as possible, despite knowing it's your cell. Observing more character animations does it become evident. There's a pose in the closet where the character sits, sheltered by their clothes. They curl up into a ball, hands around knees. Closing the door can let you hide in the closet, kept secure and safe in the darkness. There's another one where the character wraps in the fetal position and hides in the chest. Looking at their body language, it's clear they're anxious. Arms tucked in, conserving usage of space, and adopting poses meant to give comfort. Yet, their anxiety endures even in this safe space. If we care to observe our surroundings, we can see that the room is meant to be friendly, warm, and inviting, with the presence of items meant to calm nerves. Knowing that they're afraid of the outside world, it's not hard to see why. As if the stress ball didn't hint it enough, the room's lighting is made to invoke a feeling of childhood summers. The textures and models made to emulate Roblox studs. The furniture in rooms brightly colored without any gradients or complex details. And the overall structure resembling your typical kid's bedroom. I should also run through the game's soundtrack. Well, near lack of. The only song in this game is Luck, and it's a low-energy acoustic piece played on repeat. A constant source of sound for the player, like white noise. Then there's the sun, always looming outside the window. The sky doesn't follow a standard day and night cycle. Instead, it's frozen to the same position, a bright morning or settling evening. And the temperature, set to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, may seem uncomfortably cold, but given the constant exposure to sunlight, temperature gradients would increase it to room temperature, since it's been like this for so long. The overall atmosphere of the game resembles a familiar period, if you're old enough like me. A period resembling the early 2010s, when Roblox's game landscape was vastly different than it is now. The presence of the Monster Mash potion, pizza item, default Roblox textures, rubber ducky item, Bloxy Cola, linked sword display, the 2011-2015 Roblox logo on the computer screensaver, and old Roblox Studio icons all compound on this idea that the past is safe. This past being simple, easy, uncomplicated, and secure. And so they create a zone of complete bliss to combat the growing change in their world and the uncertainties that trigger their anxious emotions. Our character chooses to reject the reality beyond their door. They made one that fits their delusions better. But for just a glimpse, can we see some seepage of the outer world? If you get the curtains and close them, you can see that the previously primitive tree model becomes more realistic, gaining branches and added foliage. If you break through the cracked wall in the bathroom, you'll find a party photo taken presumably of our character and the rest of their friends. A memory from outside. Given that the photo had been sealed away, it may have reminded our character so much of their social ineptitude that they felt it was better to remove it from their mind. After all, one of the people in the photo appears distant from the group, head pointed downward, their faces merged into a frown. But the value of this memory was too strong for them to fully let go. Friendships held dearly to their heart. If you pay closer attention, you'll realize these people are recognizable. They resemble the characters printed on the game's shirts and promotional material. The fellow with the blue hat is Sai, the girl with the red beanie, Sienna, the purple-capped person, Aubrey, and our anxious orange friend, Spice. Interestingly, Mai is not present in the photo at all. Perhaps they were the cameraman? In the game's promo images, Spice can be seen hiding in places where he avoids much of the main activity, such as on the shelf or in the closet. He has habits similar to the warm isolation character. Regardless, even though the bedroom is their safe haven, leaving becomes a not-so-foreign thought. The key's description, though littered with jargon, can be decoded using a Caesar cipher to translate into a message. Wondering about the item's sudden appearance, you recognize this key. You lost it a while ago. How did it end up here? It's been some time, and the key, a symbol of courage to open the door, had been lost to them, and only now does it appear. Costing only $100, it isn't too difficult to buy. Even with it though, their perception of what's outside the room hasn't changed, and the darkness the corridor is enveloped in, plus its extended length, represents the psychological challenges still present beyond the door. Simply because they mustered the courage to take that one step, doesn't mean that all of their fears disappear. A message is branded on the floor, saying to not go alone. Bring a light. Following this advice, you walk down a hallway that takes at least 4 minutes to walk across, needing 3 lighters to journey past the abyss. Occasionally, you can hear sounds when walking along the corridor. Some of them ranging from a ringing telephone and crashing kitchenware, discomforting ambience, to a muffled jingle. And beyond the door on the other side, through all of the arduous trials in the dark corridor, lies a cold and empty home. There's no dust, so we know someone's been taking care of it. But the house is absent of any electrical light, void of switches or operable lamps, yet still illuminated by a blank white shine beyond the windows. You know that state a house is in when everyone's just moved out? All cleaned and set up like it's new. It's like that. The only difference here is that you stayed, and no one's expected to come back. Even though you tried to escape your own comfy prison, you have to contend with another form of isolation. The one where the world rejects you instead. Left behind with nobody to appear and lead you beyond the door. Coldly abandoned. Everyone had moved on. As we continue to play, we discover a couple of animations specific to our new environment, allowing us to glean new details about our friend here. The position our character assumes while sitting on the couch has them clasping their hands together, tightly compacting themselves in an effort to provide comfort, a habit seen back in the bedroom. They then nervously pick at their face and quickly lower their hand back, again showing us their anxious nature. The other has them rest their left arm on the armrest, contracting their right to be left on their leg. Here, they're looking again at a negative angle, towards their arm as they continually linger in silence, until they momentarily glance at the notebook. Another depicts them seated at a dining table, arms folded over each other, and face positioned downward, eyes gazed only at their own hands. After a few seconds, they briefly lift their head up, almost like they were expecting someone to appear, only to lower it down in disappointment. In the other animation, they slump forward, their neck tilted downward, pushing it further after a few seconds and returning, as if they were depressingly reflecting on themselves or wallowing in despair. Notice how all of these sitting poses keep our character's head downward, how each and every one of them share the feeling of profound sadness. What makes this quirk even more interesting is that all of them put our character's face away from the window light. Only so briefly does one allow them to face the glass. But once again, animations are our sole descriptors. The rest of the home tells us more. Everything in this part of the house is acutely textured, spotted with proper shadows, even if you need the lighter to see. Collections of polygons and points outfit every mesh in the area, more detailed than the old blocky models from before, and gone are the studded surfaces. A flat-screen TV completely contrasts the retro design of the computer back in the bedroom, and dust particles float in the presence of sunlight, a far cry from our own primitive bedroom. Everything resembles a polished game, yet the omission of electrical lights make it all sad, dull, depressing. And strangely, there aren't any light switches for you to remove this darkness, despite the presence of bulbs. When it comes to sound, well, there aren't any. The house remains completely silent, devoid of any music or ambience, furthering the thought of a recently dead home. All except your own footsteps and the hum of the refrigerator. To top off this somber atmosphere, nothing besides the book can be interactive with, and not a single item can be obtained beyond the abyssal hallway you came from. You can try to open the other doors, but all of them appear to be locked, sealed tightly in concurrence of this imprisoning sentiment. All of this just proves that the reality our character perceives brings nothing worth involvement, given the inordinate amount of walking done to get them here. It's something that doesn't want to involve them either. It's what makes a situation like this disturbingly sad, where the only thing remotely valued to our character is the warm prison they subconsciously created. Even though they recognize that the world beyond the door isn't what they dread it to be, the white lights shining from the windows indicative of freedom and hope, they find it impossible to leave their home out of fear. And so they impose those fears onto their home. Confirming our suspicions from earlier, the hiragana on the doormat translates to hikikomori, shut-in. But let's discuss the most important thing here, the book. Immediately after opening the door, the book presents itself as the sole outlier to the dank ambience the house is enveloped in. It's illuminated by an unknown light source from above, and accompanied by pencil and note, instructing the player on its use. If we read the message written for a character, we can start to imagine the circumstances that led to their absence. A climax occurred for them to hide away in their room, an altercation of some sort that broke the last straw between them and the world, cementing their belief that society holds no worth to them. And neither did it value them as well. Hence, the mention of the things that weighed in their mind. Perhaps the conflict between them and the writer. It's also deduced that they haven't been able to speak about their ideas for a while now. What thoughts lingered in their minds sealed tightly behind closed doors, unable to voice their opinions to those closest to them. After all, fearing disappointment is an identified stressor to hikikomoris, so it's only a matter of time until a high-stress event, the climax, pushes them into being a shut-in. And we now can confirm they've been inside for quite some time, enough for the writer to mention it having been a while since they've seen their friend. Thankfully, even though our character perceived himself as being alone, the notebook here contradicts that notion, how people still care for them. But even after leaving some words down, you're still unable to leave and return outside, doomed to be jailed in this cold home and cozy bedroom. Yet, it's enough that they made the effort to leave and confront a fear they held beforehand. Not all phobias need to be taken care of at once, and the notebook is a sign of that hope. There are a couple more oddities that should be noted. The house beyond the bedroom door is the same one used in another game made by Steven Scripps, called Fingers of TV Static. After opening the title of Fingers of TV Static, you find yourself awoken at 2 a.m. by the sudden urge to satiate your hunger. You travel all the way to the kitchen and fix yourself up a quick leftover meal, seating yourself to the closest chair. As you're about to consume your meal, a prompt then appears that asks you to mash the spacebar. A faint sound can be heard, one that sounds like a heartbeat, only to then disappear as the screen then slowly tilts to a Dutch angle, zooming out to show the bare empty background of the house. Now, you're prompted to quickly type the correct key shown on the prompt, speeding up as soon as you finish the next one, and 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 the next one. And until you can no longer keep up pace and succumb to a panic attack. You're met with text saying, "A panic attack is an intense episode of intense fear that triggers severe physical reactions when there is no real danger or apparent cause. Panic attacks can be very frightening. When panic attacks occur, you might think you're losing control, having a heart attack, or even dying. You're not alone. Hang in there, okay?" Here, in Fingers of TV Static, we begin to see how this game connects to warm isolation, encompassing that same theme of anxiety, learning that both of our characters share similar issues. Panic disorder encompasses itself as a part of anxiety disorders, which also includes agoraphobia, the fear of certain places or situations, where help may be unavailable and escape is difficult. Connect this with their shut-in protagonist and you start to see the picture. This dives into speculative territory, but still, it's worth mentioning anyway. The protagonist in Fingers of TV Static may be the same or a relative of the protagonist of Warm Isolation. After being overrun by their phobias and fears, they seclude themselves in their nostalgia, cutting off friends and family. Now, having said all of that about Warm Isolation and Fingers of TV Static, let's connect the dots. Our character in Warm Isolation is Spice, the individual featured in the game's promotional images and party photo. In all of these images, he's frequently seen attempting to hide himself from view. He follows the same body language the character in Warm Isolation uses, compacting his body as densely as possible, or slumping his head, facing away from any social contact. Some sort of conflict happened between him and the rest of his friends, Sienna, Sai, Aubrey, and Maya, that made him fully hide in his room, never to show his face again. His motive to become a hikikomori could be due to his worsening anxiety, pent up until it blew into a climax in the conflict between him and his friends, potentially from an empathetic void during the build-up. After all, being in public could worsen his panic disorders, and that conflict may have proved that. All of this simply compounding his agoraphobia. After shutting himself in, he created illusory manifestations of the things that comfort him the most: his prior friends, his childhood, and relics of the 2010s, notably Roblox. Still, even in his comfort zone, he finds it a prison that negates any enrichment necessary to improve his condition. The anxiety endures and his agoraphobia remains. Boredom is daily, and his only nutrition is delivery pizza. No step is made beyond that door. Eventually, after growing tired of this life, he manages the courage to open the door, find the key to vanquish the mental lock on it, only to find that the hallway between him and the house had grown inexplicably, requiring help to traverse its dark expanse. With the aid of his imaginary friends, or through his sheer willpower, he makes it across and conquers the gap between him and freedom, only to discover that his own home resembles the same cold environment reality had brought. Nothing in it is worth viewing, and no comfort can be obtained from it. All except a notebook one of his friends gifted him. But even after this reconciliation, the pain remains, and he is unable to make it outside. Just for fun, I'll talk about the item Asylum lobby, even though it's not official material. Yeah, that game. Bestest Roblox game! The lobby is a what-if situation where Spice never recovered from his trauma. An entire room has been desecrated in a fit of maniacal rage. Ladder broken, bath overflown, mirror shattered, computer ripped from its socket, lights torn from its wire, cola littered on the deck, a lamp knocked from its stand, phone removed from its mount, absence of towels, and all toilet paper gone! Safe to say the isolation made him go mad. The door is completely barricaded as it's boarded up and sealed with table and chair. The air conditioner is deactivated, the clock malfunctioned, and night perpetually covers the land. As if it wasn't any more depressing, the tree's been cut down, so what little decor was available to see out has been removed. Even the music reflects this panicked state, as the item Asylum mix of luck moves at a significantly improved tempo, considerably more energetic than the original game's mix. Interestingly, any signs of Spice's friends have been removed, as the closet is filled with blank t-shirts, and the cracked wall completely sealed up. It makes it seem as though he's fully blocked out any memory of the past. The only area that has been ravaged is the upper right corner, the place where the bed is situated. Here, everything remains where it's been in warm isolation, except for Eugene, who is gingerly cared for. This is the only sign of sanity that's been keeping him together, and, unfortunately, Spice will be stuck there for the rest of his life. Or it could just be the Asylumers doing what they normally do, who knows? It's just a cameo. So, that's Warm Isolation. This is my first time ever doing a video essay. Not sure how well I did. Hopefully I can learn and improve after doing something like this. It's not something I'm used to doing. I want to certainly create more stuff like this later on and potentially make it out of a hobby. Finally get my thoughts out there. Warm Isolation is definitely one of those games where it's basically reflective of what you're feeling. And, well, it's just one of those few games where environmental storytelling is more important than having bits of dialogue be centered around a character. It's really good. It's just not a lot of focus on it. Well, that's basically it for the video. Have a good day, I guess.